Okay, Fergal, all the best. Cheerio, take care. That's Fergal on his way. And Hayley Westenra there, entertaining us with her musicality after our piece on the economy and the importance of getting into industry and getting into your entrepreneurial true self, so to speak. Tony Meleady with me. You're listening to and tuned into Destination Newry, wherever you are, all across the planet. You're with us out of Newry this morning if you've hit destinationnewry.com, and it's a delight to be with you. Tony is my man of Wildlife Matters, and you're welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Rowan, and yourself?
Great altogether. Those ants have been and gone after the hot temperatures. Then in came the rain, and the ants were there, and they fed the birds, and the terns were happy, and all of nature is going along in its sweet, cruel way.
So it is, yeah. That certainly is. There's plenty of wasps about now.
Wasps?
Yeah.
Wow. Tell me, why should we be concerned about wasps? They've always been and always will be. Like the poor, the wasps are always with us.
Well, wasps are a fascinating little creature and a great friend of the gardener, believe it or not, because wasps live a cycle of 6 weeks, the female wasps in a hive. There's only one wasp that survives the winter, and that's a queen. And she's hibernates. As soon as she mates in August, she'll hibernate, then find a safe spot, hibernate, and come back in the springtime and build a nest.
Yeah. Is that the one? Would it be the queen that we see? You know, that first creature of the new spring, when you see one little, and where the hell did that come from? And out it comes, and there's the wasp. First you've seen in 6 months. It's maybe about March time or whatever. Is that's the queen?
They're quite large. They're large, much larger than the normal wasp. And she'd go off and find a little nest, lay her eggs, and she'd lay her first batch of female workers. They're all females that she'll lay. And they'll go off, she'll nurture them, and they'll go off and they'll the next batch of eggs she lays, the adult workers will go and catch green flies, caterpillars, whatever, and they bring them back and they feed them to the baby wasps, so to speak. And the baby wasps produce the saliva, a dribble, and it's a very sweet dribble, and the adult wasps feed off the dribble of the babies.
Wow.
And they have a very sweet tooth, and they only last for 6 weeks, and they never interfere with never come near you during the summertime. It's only around this time in August that they come into contact with people, and the reason that being is the queen bee has been laying eggs all summer. She's getting fairly knackered, and she lays a batch of eggs which they bring up as drones, which are males, and queens at the same time, which the females will bring up as and they'll all come out at the nests around the same time. They'll mate. The queens will fly off and find a place to hibernate straight away. They'll go into the ground, and the males are useless then, and they just die
off.
And then she is at the end of her life stage, the queen. She'll lay a last batch of eggs. The eggs will be brought up by the ordinary female workers, and then when they are adults, they have no young to feed, but they still have this hunger for sweetness, and
so they're heading towards humans.
They're coming in contact with humans because humans have lots of sweet things. I love this. Walking down the high street, you'll see girls doing the mad, crazy
with the wasp around them.
With the wasp around them. The reason that being is because they've washed their hair with something strawberry and cream.
That's like that in the morning.
Do you know the wasps are only coming over
to suss it out?
Yeah, to see what it is. And it's
I saw something in the canal the other day, and it gladdened my heart greatly. And it was 7 ducklings, mallard ducklings, almost fully feathered, but still a little bit of down there, cutting a dash on their own up through the weed. Nature is wonderful at this time of year because it's new life and coming forth.
It is. It's wonderful at all times of year, but especially this time of year, it's all on the go now. It's at the pinnacle of it now.
Yeah, and all growing into the springtime and whatever.
But it's just going back to the wasp thing as well. Just if you have young children, like if you're having a drink or anything like that, you'll see wasps are landing on your drink and investigating it, because they're coming after the sweetness, they'll come after apple butts, they'll come after everything.
Yeah.
They're not dying. They'll last for another 6 weeks. This is the last batch of wasps. But just, if you're feeding children, giving them lollipops or anything sweet like that, give their mouths a wipe with a wipe after it, because the wasps will come they're not attacking the child, or they're not attacking anybody. They're just investigating something sweet, because they've a hunger for sweetness, because their children, so to speak, are they've none to feed, and they're not getting that dribble that they
that they used to get from the saliva of the young, which is interesting. The thing that you did in your garden 2 years ago or more, the building of a garden pond, is an interesting philosophy, because you bring to it all the wildlife imaginable, everything from dragonflies down to frogs, fish in the pond, whatever, and it's a very rich environment. How difficult a thing is it to do it correctly, to make this?
It's very simple to do, and it's cheap enough as well, and as you say, it brings a great addition to the garden in wildlife, and it brings a great balance to the garden, because you're attracting wildlife that you wouldn't usually attract. You'll attract even more, like hedgehogs will come, there'll be more thrush and blackbird, there'll be frogs, there'll be toads, there'll be newts, everything like that, and they'll all feed on slugs, which you don't want in your garden if you're a gardener and things like that, but they'll keep a good balance in your garden as well. But it's a very easy thing to do, and you can buy kits in large hardware stores or good garden centres, or you can get them on the internet, and they're cheap enough. They can range, like, it depends on the size of the pond. Any tiny small pond, wildlife will come to it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the size. And all it is, it's a case of getting a liner, a pond liner, which is basically a sheet of thickish plastic. And you'll get if you buy a kit, you'll get a little pump with it as well and whatnot, you know. But it's a case of deciding a spot in the garden. Now, you don't want it in the shade, or you don't want it underneath trees or anything like that. A nice sunny spot, maybe in a bit of shade or whatever, you know. And deciding on the shape and the size you want. Don't go huge, right? People make that mistake. You don't have to go huge. 3 foot, 4 foot. It's a good size for a pond. And get a bit of garden hose, and if you get the garden hose and you make the shape of the pond. With the hose, with the hose, like it may be a classic kidney shape, and then you bed it in into the sand. No. Just put them. That'll give you a visual of what size the pond will be. And then you can put a couple of little stakes around it if you want that, and then dig it out. So you're digging down a little bit, give it a couple of shelves, like level it down 6 inches or so, and then go down in the centre. You want to go down at least 18 inches to 2 foot if you're keeping fish or anything like that, because that let them survive in the winter and thick frosts and things like that. So you have the shape and the depth dug out like that. You want to take up all the sharp stones or any sticks or roots or anything like that. So when you put the plastic down, now at this stage you want to get some levels on it, because the water will tell a level on the pond straight away. So get a plank, put it across it roughly, put a level on it, just get a rough idea of what it is. You know, you don't have to bang on perfect, you know, but do the plank around it at the different ends and widths of it, just to get a good size on it. And then you can put a piece of carpet or something, just a bit of carpet down on the bottom, just to protect the plastic from sharp stones or anything like that. Then simply put in your plastic, shape it in a little bit. The water will create the shape of the pond. The weight of the water will create it. And then from the tufts of grass or so that you dug initially, keep them initially, then you can put them around the side, and they'll give her a lovely natural look down. So you have a perfect little pond in the garden.
It's important to say to the folk that safety is hugely important here, because it's always a good idea to put a little fence around it if possible, that you keep it safe from the children, that they don't go and fall in.
Well, I wouldn't recommend a pond in a garden if you've children under 5 or 6 years of age, because children are it's like a magnet to children. It's like a magnet to adults. I always see that in the garden. If you're having a little garden party or anything, people will walk to the pond and they'll stand as close to the edge of it as they can. I've had people in the garden throwing cigarette butts into the pond.
Oh God, yes.
As a thing. But you just have to. Children and water are a lethal mix at times. You know. So if you do have an existing pond of young children, get a steel mesh. And put it over it and make it strong enough so it doesn't bend into the pond. The children can nearly basically walk on it and they can't lift it. But I wouldn't recommend it if you have children under 5 or 6 years of age. Older than that, you put a little fence around it or something like that. But it's a great addition, and also just for the on the safety wildlife also, if you're building a pond, having a good slope in a part of it, or a nice flat slab. So if hedgehogs or anything
Yes,
like that
of
fall
course.
into it, they have a way of getting
A
back
way
out
of-
of it.
yeah.
And the frogs can get in and out of it easily.
And you
like this
can
stuff.
you can rescue from country puddles, if you like. You can, if not ponds, you can rescue some frog spawn that's going to dry out and be lost, and take it to your pond.
Well, yeah, it's illegal to move frog spawn, but frogs will find water in your pond. They will come if you
Yeah.
dig it, as they say. They will come.
God.
They come. Every type of wildlife will come. Dragonflies, mayflies, everything. You'll find them in your pond. Snails. You
Yeah.
don't know how to get there, but they'll get
They'll
there.
get there.
They'll find the water. But it's a great addition, as I said, especially in the winter time as well, and the hot summers. You'll get great wildlife and great enjoyment out of it. And it's an easy thing to build and an easy thing to make. And you can look, as I say, these days you can look on the internet
Yeah.
for everything and look.
It's about enjoying your garden.
It certainly is, and it's all out there for you. You know,
It
it's
is.
a great thing to utilise, and it's beautiful. You don't have to. It's not something that you have to take care of either. You can just leave it basically, and it'll look after itself. At first, to be nice and clear, then it'll get shady and dark, and then it'll come
Yeah.
clear again. It'll find its own equilibrium.
Okay, he's Tony Meleady, I'm Rowan Hand. This is DestinationUri.com. Music, sir.